there were some scenes where I was reading it and then I was smiling at myself, and then I had to stop and I'm like, girl, relax. This is not real. This is not real.
I've got an internet crush. She's not a celebrity, but she's taken. So can't help falling in love.
I feel like I have been everywhere but here in front of the camera, and I really want that to change. I've just been, I don't even know if I want to say busy. I have just been like out of it, I would say. I have been busy, but I have been mostly doing like family stuff, trying to work on my money management because I am saving a lot. I have a lot of plans for this year, and with that, to fund all my plans, I need money. So I have just been working like crazy. But this video is not about that. This video today is to go over my January reads for 2025, and in total I read 4 books, which is, I would say, right around where my book goal is. I really want to finish 50 books this year. I don't know if that's a lot or a little. I think that really just depends on you, because I know like people have more than 50 books that they want to read, but for me, that's the most like tangible. This video is to just go over and review my books that I finished for January. I will say I am still in my like beginning, more so beginning arc of reading. I know these books may be like old to some people, but I can't read as fast as some people, and I'm just trying to catch up. So I like being in the loop, but I also am like still trying to be where everyone on Book Talk is, because I feel like everyone there is already finished with these books and on their bandwagon, but I'm like trying to speed and like meet them where they are. So we're gonna see how that goes. So I guess we'll just start this off with the first book that I read this month and finished was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would read it again, is what I'm saying. I was a little confused, but I found that I wasn't always wanting to pick this up. So this book actually took me a little longer to finish. I do think the storyline is good. The characters are good. It's not just super romantic, but then there's also like a little mystery. Sometimes when I read this book, I almost felt like it didn't need to be this long. Like, I don't know. That was just how I felt. I know people feel very, very strongly that this is like their favorite book, and I'm all for that. But to me, it was just okay. I think I would rate this one maybe like 3 stars. Is that bad? I don't know if that's bad. If you don't know what this book is about, basically it's about this girl named Naomi. She is going through, I would say, almost like a midlife crisis, and then she ends up leaving her wedding to go to a small town where her twin sister is at, because her twin sister texted her saying she needed some like help or whatever. And then when she gets there, she finds out that everyone in that city strongly dislikes her sister, and people are starting to confuse her with her twin sister, who has now been on a run, like took all of her Naomi stuff and left her niece, aka the twins' daughter, Naomi's niece. And so she goes on this whole journey about becoming like a new mother and realizing that, you know, through all the hardships that she's had, it's like brought her to this point in her life where she needs to learn how to be an adoptive mother, if she even wants to be. And she meets this really hot, like, rich guy, but it's not like the classy rich guy. It's like this guy, he's still like down and dirty, like he owns a bunch of businesses. He is very like hands-on, helping and very caring, and he's also extremely rich, and he takes care of the town. But yeah, and then they fall in love, of course, always. But that is what this book is about. And then they continue to talk about that. And the mystery in this is that when her twin is there, her twin like takes all of her cars, her money, everything, and leaves town, right? But people don't know why, like where she is, what she's doing, why she left her kid, because her kid is saying like, oh, my mom always comes back, and no matter what, she's always gonna come back here. So they're kind of anticipating like, okay, like when is she coming back here, you know, and what does she want? So it's just this whole thing. And then the ending, what happened in the end? I remember what happened in the end. It's just gonna take me a second. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it. Or should I spoil it? Because I feel like if you're watching this, then you've like read this too. But basically, in the end, the twin sister goes to jail because her twin sister actually was like gonna set up her sister, and like they were trying to get all this money. She started like, she met this guy who was like a part of this like gang. I don't know. But in the end, her twin sister ends up in jail, and they live, Naomi, Knox, and the niece, aka now her adopted daughter. They are like happy-go-lucky family. But this was just like a long book. I felt like I said, it took me a while to finish this because I just didn't have the desire to like pick it up. Maybe it's just me. I also realized, and maybe you guys are the same, but I'm a very moody reader. Like I feel like I have to actually sit there and like, you know, be so involved in it. But yeah, this one was just not in the mood for me. The next book I actually don't have with me, but I did read it, and I think I gave it back to my friend who I borrowed it from. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I have been seeing it everywhere, and then I felt like I just needed to read it because, I don't know, I was having FOMO that everyone knew about that book, not me. So I picked it up and I actually read it in one day. I could not put it down. Like, it was such a page turner, and I was so invested in it, in the story, and I know that they're making it into a movie adaptation. I'm pretty sure. And I wanted to read it before watching the movie just so I could understand it a little more. I felt that way with It Ends With Us too. I read that book first before the movie even came out, just so I could feel some sort of like emotional tie with the book. Obviously, I feel like it's very known that books just do like a way better job of investing us with these characters and detailing the story more from like a first person perspective. If you are unfamiliar with it, I would say that book is like 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I have never wanted to just sit there in one sitting and finish a book like that. It was so good. I will say some of the parts were slow and my eyes were not moving fast enough, and I just was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I don't know what this is called, but I obviously like to read physical books rather than digital books. I really can't do digital right now. I'm sure in the future, maybe innovation, I will, but for now, I love having a physical book with me. While I was reading that book, you know when you're like on the last page of a chapter and the first page is like a full page, words, everything. The next page is like half a page of a paragraph because it's the end of the chapter. I find that every time I was reading the chapter, I would like, instead of just reading the whole page, I cannot wait. I like jump to the last sentence of the chapter. I don't know if it's like anxiety. I don't know. I was doing that so much though. If you don't know the plot of that book, it's about this woman. She is a criminal, but you don't know her story yet on why she went to jail. And she is looking for a job. It's really hard to find a job with a criminal background, so she is like trying really hard. She's living out of her car. She's really struggling. She needs money, obviously, and she gets this job as a housemaid. And it's actually a live-in housemaid, so she gets her own room, her own bedroom. So she gets to move in, and she is their basically live-in nanny, housemaid, sorry. And through the first part of the story, the mother who hired her is so like bipolar. She's like really happy, really nice. And then she'll like flip a switch and become like very vile, mean, cruel, like just verbally abusive too. And she'll like often tell the main character, the housemaid, to do something. And then when they're in front of everyone, she'll be like, I never told you to do this, or you did this wrong. So it leaves us as readers so confused because you're like, what the heck is going on? And the first part is all from the housemaid's perspective of like, why is she crazy? Why does she have dementia? Is she something is going on that it just doesn't make sense? Later down the line, you know, she set this whole thing up, okay? After the first half of the book, like the middle half alternates to the mother's perspective and why she's treating this housemaid like this and why she is so bipolar. She's actually not bipolar. She's doing everything to save herself and her daughter. And it takes you on like a whole whirlwind. I never saw it coming. I was so like, oh my god, this is like so great. I was so invested. So no, I cannot wait for it to become a movie. In the end, it explains why she was in this specific bedroom, why there's a lock on the door, why there's just random objects everywhere, and why she was so cruel to the housemaid. I cannot recommend that book enough. I love that book. It was so good. That might be on my like top 5 books this year. Like it was that good. I can't recommend it enough. It was the perfect thriller and mystery and emotionally like I was tied to these characters. And there's also a lot of like character growth in here. I felt like you understood at the perspective of the mother when she told her story, and you could see like instead of feeling so awful about why she was acting this way or like hating her so much, you almost feel like a bunch of sympathy towards her and like an understanding of where she's coming from, at least from me. I can't speak on everyone, but that was my second book that I read for January. Yeah, like I said, I would give that one 5 out of 5 stars. So good. My third book that I read for January 2025 is called The Striker. And this one is by Anna Huang. I love Anna Huang, and that is probably the main reason why I picked this book up. I usually don't go for these books, like the sporty love story romantics, but because I quite enjoy Anna Huang books, I felt like I should read it because I also miss the characters in her other series. If you haven't read her series, Twisted, they're like the Twisted Love series, and then I think it's called the Book of Sin, King of Sin series. Those are really good too. I would say the King of Sin series is probably my favorite because it's more age appropriate for me. The characters I just felt like I could relate to more. Versus the other one, the Twisted series, they're like fresh out of college, but you can still tell there's a little like childness to it, which is completely fine. I do adore those books so much, but I will say the King of Sin series are like where I'm at in my life. Like I'm 25. I feel like that's kind of the future that I want, and the way that they do things, I relate to that so much more. This is a book where he falls in love with her first, and sometimes I love it and sometimes I hate it. Like sometimes I'm like, ugh, like he is so needy, but sometimes I'm also like, okay, like maybe it's fine. But the premise of this book is that he is a soccer player. This is all based in the UK, so he is playing football, and his enemy is now his teammate, and the girl that he falls in love with in here is his enemy's sister, which it goes on to like build their relationship, but also they're kind of like sneaking around because they start dating, and her brother, which is his enemy, like doesn't really approve, and they kind of like go behind his back a bit, but then it all comes together in the end. This also was a hard book for me to want to always pick up. I read it through and through though. Her words are very simple. She gets right to the point. I loved that some of the old characters in her previous series show up from now, or show up every now and then, which is ultimately the books that I fell in love with. So it's really nice when the characters reappear in her other series. I feel like she does a good job integrating them in without shoving them all in our faces, I guess you could say. I think I would give this book a 3.5 out of 5. Okay, so this next read has taken over my life. I don't think I need to say much. I think most people will understand when I say that this book for me was a 5 out of 5. I'm hooked. I'm obsessed. I could not put it down. I literally like skipped so many things just so I could read this book. I am in love with it in all of its glory, and I am so excited for it to become a movie. No, I think it's going to be a TV series. But I just hope that they don't let us down, because there is too much fantasy and expectations for this book to be bad. So, the book, oh, you might have seen it, is A Court of Thorn and Roses. And this book, I don't know why I was so like giddy and happy when I was reading it. I could not put it down. I was obsessed with it, and I get it now. I get it, you guys. I wish I got it earlier, but I get it. So there were some scenes where I was reading it and then I was smiling at myself, and then I had to stop, and I'm like, girl, relax. This is not real. This is not real. This is not your life. You can love it, but like, stop getting so excited. That was the level of obsession I was on with this book. I know that people have said that the other books are better. I haven't read them yet, so this, from what I'm going off of just my current emotions and feelings, this is a 5 out of 5 star book for me, and I'm excited to read the rest of her series. I actually have them. I bought all 5 of them. I just started reading this yesterday, and I am only on chapter 3, but so far, I'm loving it. My thoughts on this book is I think it's perfect, and I just, it's like my new baby. Like, I hope they don't ruin this. It's everything and more. It has like the perfect fantasy and magic. The whole thing with this book is like the main character, Feyre, she is a human and she kills this wolf, but she later finds out that it wasn't just a wolf, he was a fairy. And guys, when I first read this, I thought fairy, like literal fairy that we know or mostly know of, you know, like little pixie fairy with wings. That is not it. We are not talking about. These fairies are fairies that are like, they're humans, or no, sorry, they're not humans. They're immortals, but some of them are like high lords and high fays and just like regular fairies. But the High Lords can shapeshift and they have powers, and they're supposed to be like super godly looking, just like the perfect beyond perfect people. I don't know. So she kills this wolf not knowing that he's a fairy, and then the lord of where that fairy was from comes and captures her and is like, you need to come here and owe me your life, because that's what the treaty says, whatever. You have to come and live with me and not be a slave, but just like, oh, a life for a life, basically. So then she goes, leaves her family who treated her like shit, and she goes into this like what is their land called? She goes into his court, and there's different courts. So there's like a spring court, summer court, winter court, autumn court. Like it's all this thing. And he is from the spring court. So she goes with him, lives with him, ends up doing all this stuff, finding out more secrets, more about their world, which she used to think was super evil, but she ends up falling in love with him, and it's just, it takes you on this whole journey. And then there's like this evil girl, and it all ties in together in the end. 5 out of 5 stars. I would read this again. I want to read this again already. Okay, everything that I learned about this on TikTok has come to my knowledge without me wanting to. So it kind of spoiled the book for me. Not too much, but I obviously know like who she really ends up with and who she really loves, because all these like TikTok AI characters and like I would say like fan art, or they're just like AI scenes that people make. They pop up on my TikTok and I just watch them. I try to scroll past, but then I get like a glimpse of it and then it ruins it because then I know what's coming in the book. And I'm like, I need to stop doing that to myself because I want it to be a surprise. So I do know some bits and pieces of like what's to come, but I will say this I could not put down. And I was reading until like 4 a.m., maybe like 2 a.m., but you get the gist. Literally, you guys, I might be the worst person to review books, I swear to God. But there's so many times where I was just like, why can't I live in here? But I also thought, you guys, if I lived in here, I'd probably be dead already. Like, to be 100% serious, I don't think I could survive in here. Everyone in here, they might not be the strongest, but I feel like there's something where like you're like, oh yeah, you're meant to be in this series. Like it just makes sense. I feel like if I was in this series, I would flop. I wouldn't survive. I do know that they are talking about putting this into a TV series, and I hope it is Game of Thrones level budget, because I love Game of Thrones so much. I actually only started watching it because my boyfriend watched it, and then he was like, you really need to watch it. So then I started watching it and I instantly fell in love with Game of Thrones. And that ending still hurts me, but love Game of Thrones. And they executed it perfectly. I felt like it was great. It was great. So my hope for this is, if when they do turn it into a series, I hope HBO is the one who picks it up, because HBO level directory is so much better than like Hulu and Netflix. And I only say that because HBO has all the like profanity. I know there's a lot of like nudity on it too, but I feel like they have no budget. They're very just like, this is gonna be successful. We're gonna put everything in this and take the CGI to that level. This needs the correct CGI, because what I've been picturing in my head, I need it to align, or else it's just gonna be awful. So, okay, those were my January 2025 reads, and now I will see you guys when I come back with my February reads. Hopefully, I'll have better information to tell you about this series, but I have high hopes, so I'm excited to hurry up and finish this book. This is a thicker book, obviously, than the first book, but I'm into it and I am all for it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment if you love ACOTAR too, because I need to know whose team you're on, who's your favorite guy, and no spoilers, but I feel like I already spoiled a lot for myself. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys hopefully sooner than later to discuss more about my life and books. So